as we look at the 5 key players for Tennessee, if this list comes out Tuesday at 10 a.m., it doesn't have the Nico guy on it, but he's number 1, I'm assuming, on this list for you, and who the Tennessee players that will play a huge factor in the Citrus Bowl against Iowa.
All right, so number 5, believe it or not, again, I'm going with the punter, Jackson Ross. Jackson Ross is a freshman All-SEC guy, and here's why, Dave. And this is a big deal. Iowa is dead last in yards in offense this year. They have the worst offense in football. If you pin Iowa deep, they're not scoring. That's just it's just that simple. If you pin them deep, they're not scoring. So
wait,
that's why.
If you pin them shallow, they're not scoring. You could average 3 yards per punt, and there's a good chance they're not scoring.
Yeah, but again, if an offense is this bad, a good punter can help you take total control of the game. So
I'm just trying to imagine it now, the play-by-play guy going, they really had Iowa in a tough position when they had the ball to 38, but now they've got Iowa to 41. That's practically no man's land. There's no way the Hawkeyes are going to be able to get back to the end zone there, Bob.
Oh my gosh.
That's a long way.
You're suggesting the Red Boy offense from Waterboy when he kneels it 3 times and punts it in the start of the second half. And he's like, how you like my new offense?
A little. I don't think that's the worst idea. I'm telling you, I think I'm not the one that thinks this by myself. I think Tennessee's going to go out there and cruise with Nico.
Oh, I think so too.
I'm not the only one saying that. I'm not the only one saying that, maybe with some ties to the university within
All
practice.
Right, so moving on, I actually have Ricky Gibson coming in at cornerback because you and Jimmy both talked about no matter how bad an offense is, there's always a deep play. With all the secondary turmoil, Ricky Gibson's going to be the new guy that we know is starting at cornerback. So I think we're all going to kind of be interested in how he plays, right, in his new role at cornerback. So
yes,
this is it's not really a test for him because he's not guarding anybody worth guarding, but it's a chance for him to look good. And
now we're hearing about Ricky Gibson instead of Jordan Matthews. So it kind of makes you wonder, those guys can supplant each other going back and forth. But, 3 months ago, we were talking about more Matthews than Gibson. Now we're talking about Gibson more than Matthews, but he may be the next out on your list.
No, he's not actually, because you're right. We haven't heard enough about him. And so I went one cornerback. The next guy on my list is a known commodity, and he goes by the name of Squirrel White. And the reason I put Squirrel White in there is because, like I talked about, if you're forced to work the 3 to 8 yard routes, there's Jacob Warren, McCall, Castles who can help with that. But a big help for that is Squirrel White over the middle in the slot, right? I mean, if you get him the ball at like a 5 yard pass hitch over the middle, he could turn that into a big gain, even if Iowa closes in well in the secondary. So this is a big chance for him.
Oh, when we talk about injuries, we talk about Brew McCoy into this offense, how it affected the offense. We talk about Cooper Mays, how it affected the offense and how it affected the passing game. And in both of those situations, I think the Cooper Mays situation affected the running game and the passing game, and Brew McCoy affected their physicality on the screen games. Plus, he affected a guy that could go down and get open against most anybody. So this is very secondary compared to those factors. But Caleb, somewhere lost in that was Squirrel White's development, right? Because he's not seeing the type of coverage that he thought he was going to see all year long once Brew McCoy suffered that injury.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was not he wasn't going to have the same chances with Brew McCoy drawing people away. Iowa draws away anyway, just by their very defensive scheme they draw away. So if you keep an eye on, like I said, Sebastian Castro, then you should be okay. Number 2, he was arrested, but the charges have been dropped, just so people know. So James Pierce Jr., I have in there at number 2. For those who don't know, Iowa's 2 losses this year, both times they gave up 4 sacks and they were strip sacked twice. I'm predicting a strip sack from James Pierce in this game.
Does he definitely just play, or do you sit him?
I think Josh Heupel's going to play him. Have you heard any reports that he's sitting?
Well, no. Here my thinking. Here's my thinking, and we might get into this at some point with our good friend T. Scott Banks. I'll look at this situation with Banks and Jones, and it just, to me, I mean, you do what the cops tell you to do. Am I being too easy there? Couldn't he just do that? And this isn't a situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think, look, me personally, just for publicity purposes, you could sit him because honestly, I think Joshua Josephs could have fun against this Iowa offense himself. I think if James Pierce was sitting, I would have Joshua Josephs on at number 2, and I would predict him to get a strip sack in this game.
Yeah,
And
I'd
so,
probably sitting. That's just me. Show represented by Banks and Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. He was cool enough to come on with us and give us a breakdown of what Florida State trying to get out of that conference, and it's tough. What else as far as factors for the Vols in the upcoming Iowa game?
so the last thing, yeah, I just want to bring up, as you guys know, Nico's number 1, and here's the real test. This honestly, if Tennessee was playing Milton, given what I learned about after studying their defense yesterday, there would be a concern because by leaving the 3 to 8 yard hitch routes wide open, the key is touch on the ball, Dave. You got to have touch, and Nico, how much? And we know Milton struggled with that. How much touch does Nico have throwing over the middle? I think he's got a lot of touch. I saw enough to think he's got a lot of touch over the middle, but that's going to be the key. Does he have the touch on those 8 yard passes?
Agreed. Hit the like and subscribe button, guys. You've been around. You've known me long enough. I think you know that I'm not going to just say, "Hey, this guy's incredible. You're going to love it." Hit subscribe. No, just you can wait and watch him, and he's going to be that good. Then you're going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to hit that subscribe button for Dave because he told me that." He's going to be that good.
The Citrus Bowl, they're not putting a lot of prop bets out right now.
Yes.
And this is something that we talked about yesterday. I think Vegas is very unsure of what to expect given the opt-outs and Nico playing now. And I just don't think they want to put a lot of prop bets out there right now.
I'm glad it wasn't a game time decision. Can we all say that? Wouldn't that have been horrible if everybody's just, they're half at Publix or they're doing whatever they're supposed to be doing, and then because they don't care about the start of the game because they've seen Joe do this repeatedly, and Nico runs out there. So at least they get that out there, but it's just a strange situation. By the way, we'll have Jimmy Hahn's prediction on the Iowa Citrus Bowl here momentarily on Off the Hook Sports. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I wonder if Hypa was thinking that, and I wonder if some people, maybe the Danny Whites of the world, were like, "Hey, if you're starting Nico, you need to let it be known because that'll help us with our ticket sales." Like, I wonder if that's kind of where it happened because look, as we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but Dave, there's no denying that filling a bowl stadium with your allotment is a huge benefit to you in so many different ways, isn't it? Long term, it may be at a neutral site, but filling up your side, I think helps a lot. Not showing up is a really bad look.
Yeah, it's a bad look. It's a bad look for the TV guys that are gonna, they're gonna argue your case next year. Oh, they should be in the Citrus Bowl instead of the Gator Bowl. So yes, it hurts you. But it seems like Tennessee has a good enough reputation that if they don't show up for one over the course of 8, 9, 10 years, that it's not going to be a situation in which you're like, oh man, you don't want that team because they're just not going to show up. There are other teams that's the case.
I mean, this is the sole reason that they got relegated to the Citrus Bowl in 2001, though, while Florida got to the Orange Bowl, because Tennessee fans did not bother to go to the Fiesta Bowl in '99. They didn't care. I mean, you had a group of, Dave, I would say you were more tied into the program than I was. I was a very young Tennessee fan at the time. I've turned in my fam card, turned it in like you have. I turned it in years ago, but there were a group of Tennessee fans, whether or not, that were very spoiled, that didn't know anything about the program before Philip Fulmer, that didn't know anything about the Johnny Majors era, and just thought that 13-0 and 11-1 was just par for the course. And when they went 9-2, they thought it was a disappointment, didn't they? Having no concept of where Tennessee had been in the past.
True, but that's the case really at any fan base, right?
No, because that Fiesta Bowl was against Nebraska, a Nebraska program that had won 3 national titles in 4 years, and their fans showed up for the Fiesta Bowl.
Well, but I bet you could go to the average fan on campus who they wear an Alabama something because they got one for Christmas, and they're on campus and they're walking around and they look just adorable. And if you ask them who the head football coach was before Nick Saban, they wouldn't know.
Oh, that is Alabama fans galore. They are so annoying with that. It's the same way.
everybody, right? I mean, I
The
had
same way with
somebody
Laker
give. I
fans,
had
by the way.
somebody
If you're a Laker fan and you don't know who Nick Young is, then you're not a Laker fan.
Okay, I had somebody give me the look like they were younger than us, and it was was it the Lane Kiffin coached at Tennessee look for a second? You could tell that 10 years ago was enough time where they had to think about it. And they were in their 20s, so I'm defending them.
It's excusable if you are a child like I was when I was 11, but if you're a fan, like if you are a true fan, by the time you're in college, guys, there's this thing called Wikipedia. There's this thing called YouTube. You should go look up your school's history and you should know about your program's history. I'm just saying that. Like, there is this thing. You know, you did not watch Tennessee in the 1960s, Dave, but you know who Dewey Warren is. You know who Doug Dickey is.
I do.
Like,
I do.
you know, we all know who General Nealon is. None of us watched Tennessee during General Nealon.
No,
So
no, you're right.